good day to you, Michelle. Bless you, darling. All right, howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. So here we go. Let's get this show on the road. So we're over here at Stereo A because, well, we're missing a bunch of data on the other Soho instrument. So our event was captured here in this Stereo A image here. So here we are, November 7th, 2024. We survived Election Day. We're still plugging along, okay? And as you can see, we've had a little event here today coming off the sun here, all right? Something else I want to show you as well before we start plucking away frame by frame is today's Soho as well, which is missing some of the data, but do you see that one frame with all this stuff going through it? And I want to talk about glitch frames for a second there, and frames that are have like debris going through there. Now, no, it skips. It goes from 2, usually 212, 224. It skips from 2 to 224 with the one frame fully engulfed. And now sometimes we get reflections on the mirrors inside the cameras. This one looks more like a proton storm or like a debris tail of some kind right here that passed between the camera and the satellite, or the sun and the satellite right there. Then it ghost image on the next frame there, and then the tail end of our event. So most of it was missed, but what we did get is, a couple little satellites buzzing through there. But our main event is over at Stereo A. But here we got this frame right here. All right. And then as we continue on through, note down here in this corner right here, there's an inbound sun diving comet. So we might be in that region where we have these sun diving comets, where we have debris tails and debris fields. Okay, so there's our few images from Soho here. And then let's get back over here to Stereo A again for the full event. Okay, and then we'll pluck away at this here frame by frame. So let me capture the opening frame here. Oh, back up a few. Yeah, opening frames are right here, 023, 1127. You can see right down here, 023. And then our event comes out over here, down below, right there. Boom. Okay, you can see round spherical object draped with a bunch of plasma. You can see it over on this side as well. You can see our bigger spread here, spreading around what could be a little cluster of these smaller objects. There's a good shot right there. Well, let me see what's the next frame before we zoom in. That one's good too. We'll zoom in on these really quick here on the red side because it's a little better. And I'm going to take this and just kind of take the brightness out of it a little bit there. And now you can see more of our darker objects surrounded by plasma. Rounder object right here, surrounded by plasma. It's draping back. There's probably some other ones back here that are causing this little kind of stair step ripple effect. Bing, bing, bing. So I'll let you come over here to this instrument too. You can mess around over here at this instrument. I suggest you do, because it's better when you see it with your own eyes and not just me suggesting stuff that, you know, shouldn't be like power of suggestion or anything like that. So it's important that you guys come over here and check this stuff out yourself as well. And there's Wages World. He does this as well. Just a different angle on it. All right, so there we go. There goes your event. Here. And this one goes 1 hour frame at a time here. So there is your event. Looks like there's another something going on over here. You got plasma, round, circular shape, draping back, teardrop shape here. Again, something here grabbing plasma. Over here on this side, you can kind of see darker little objects, you know, blinded by some plasma right there. Ooh, right there is a good round, circular, black object right there. Here, we'll just kind of really quick, bing, bing. All right, you can see it right there's a good shot of it. It's got a bunch of plasma dammed up out in front of it that it's taken with it, but it's teardropping, trailing back over the top of it. See it right there, coming around the sides and trailing back. So there's your round, black, spherical object that doesn't really reflect light, so you can't see it unless it's silhouetted by plasma. All right, now let's back out of this. You know, and while we're kind of doing this for a second here, and take a moment of thank you for taking a moment of your time to be part of this precious family. Okay, it's been hard to grab anybody's attention and let alone get a few minutes of their time to pay attention to the most important topic in the world in their lifetime. So it can be frustrating sometimes. And when I do get people's time, it's very much appreciated. So a very big thank you to all of you for taking a moment of your time. This time is precious. All right, so there's your event. Let's slow this down here. It's just going too fast because it's a frame per hour instead of one every like 12 minutes. So there you go. Bigger object interacting with the sun, bigger object with some little satellites and planetoids right there, you know, close to it, surrounding it. All right, so there's your event right there. Now let's come on over here to SolarHam and do a quick little report here. First off, your solar flux index is at 239. It's still in the red. We're down 22 points, which is good. Our sunspot number count is in the yellow. We're way down below 200 now. We're up nine little spots, but not much. Okay, our area is still in the yellow, but that's okay. Let's get on into this mess here. I've been watching this mess unfold for a minute now. Okay, so we have 3883 right here. Very tight configuration, still strong, a jumbled mess where this could touch with this, or this could hook here, it could go there. Also over here, 3886, they're kind of spread out, which is good, but it's a big patch right there. And then we got this new region, 3889, with another, you know, messy configuration, polarity configuration here as well. All right, so these are all right in our region. as far as sun's Earth facing. So any kind of events out of these, hopefully some of these have tapered off and their event has finished off. But there's your sunspots with this new one right here, 89 to be concerned about. So 83, 86, and 89. All right, now let's back out of this and slide on over and scroll on down and see how fluxed we are. Goes X-ray flux, that is. All right, so last night I was going to do a report on our little X-flare here, but since we didn't get to, here's our little X-flare, and we can go back and take a little peek at this here. This was, oh no, it's not on there either, so never mind, we can't. A lot of missing data lately from these guys over here, so anyways, you can see we've had quite a bumpy ride. Boom, boom, boom. Little M flares popping off. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's like our bigger event. And then we get all these little trailing satellites, trailing moons. I call them satellites because they orbit a bigger object, okay? Thus the term satellite, not man-made satellites, but orbiting bodies that are orbiting a bigger body, okay? So your little moons, satellites trailing on after a bigger event right here. Some of these other events weren't slouches either. Okay, let's just say that. Now going into tomorrow, we have this small little event right here. We could go take a peek at it. Let's see if they have. Yeah, it's right there. Do you guys want to take a little peek at this? A little peek into the future? You don't? Well, tough. We're gonna do it anyway. And it's not much, but it's just showing some kind of data again, skipping from 2 to 6, 1, 2, 6. Yeah, so not much to look at. Bunch of missing data again. So in the time, we got other things that are important too. So we got to keep continuing on. So there is, you can see it kind of descending overall. You know, here our plateau is right around there. Here it's getting lower and lower and lower. So our overall solar flux indice, our SFI, is descending slowly but surely, tapering off with a bunch of little spits and sputters trailing along. All right, now let's zoom back out of this. Come over to our 3-day geomagnetic forecast, all clear right here. I pray it stays that way. Okay, this latest incident that just came off that we saw on stereo A looks like it could be earthbound a little bit. So meanwhile, your X-flare potential is 35% right now, and that's because we have these sunspot regions down here that are beta, gamma, delta. We'll get to that in just a second. So 35%, 85% on your M flares. Coming over here, look at all these M flares that have popped off in the last couple of days. 2.3, 2.7, a couple of 2.5s, a 5.3. Here's your X flare, and it wasn't a slouch either. It was a 2.3. Caused a type 2 radio blackout. So there we go there. Meanwhile, your aurora is very quiet right now, okay? Your KP is unsettled. But right now it looks pretty quiet, even though it says unsettled. But you can see we had a little tapering off. Definitely a break in between these two where it came way down to almost KP0 there. But then another little wave of energy hit us right here. And it's not much. You know, I don't want to see a big spike in this because that is not good for the planet. We do not need to be absorbing any more geomagnetic energy. Back to our sunspot regions. 89 is beta delta, not beta gamma. It already has a delta configuration, so all it needs is one little gamma insert and that one's on. Meanwhile, 3886 is beta gamma delta and still growing. Meanwhile, 83 is also beta gamma and still growing. And it appears that a CME, there we go. It appears that the CME that was expected to glance past Earth was detected at 1424 by the A spacecraft, but so far the impact appears minor, and geomagnetic storming has not yet been observed. Whew, thankfully. We do not need any more. We'll get to this in just a second. Let's do some track-a-lacking since we are a-lacking the tracking. So here we go over here. You can see your CME moving out in this direction. All right, they're showing that one, that latest one, I think that we just saw off of stereo, moving this direction. But that does not mean mean that said object that triggered the CME is heading that direction. Usually they're going by the sun and the sun reaches out to them. So even though the CME is traveling away, we could still get an unexpected geomagnetic storm in 3 days from now, possibly, if that thing interacts with our magnetic field. And what I want you to notice here, let's go back to stereo A really quick, my bad, is the trajectory of this. All right, we're in the southern hemisphere of the sun. We're not right at the equator. That thing would be coming towards us out in front of us. So we might get a little glancing blow really from this. We'll see, but coming back here, they're showing the CME component of it moving away, which is good news. I will take that any day. Let's I want to open up this one really quick. I want to see this impact right here. Thank you for bearing with me there. You guys doing okay out there? You feel the apprehension or your post-traumatic stress disorder, your PTSD? Because you guys have been under a lot of stress for 4 years of this campaigning stuff, and now that it's all over, the stress is over, and you're post-stress. So you have this traumatic stress, and it's afterwards that you feel kind of weird. Everything doesn't feel quite right. You're a little apprehensive. All right. Meanwhile, here we go. 7 over here, between the 7th and the 8th right here, they're expecting a little brush by the Earth. The expected G1 strike that was going to, brush us barely might be a little bit late there and hit us just a little while from now, possibly. So let's back on out of this, get back to our article here. Okay, solar activity remained at high levels thanks to the impulsive X2.3 solar flare around 3883. The event was not responsible for coronal mass ejection. A solar filament located in the southwest quadrant erupted beginning around 445. At coronal mass ejection, the CME was flung into space and so far appears to be off the sun's Earth line, so no major impacts expected. Okay. And I love how they just cropped out the corner of the event. It's like you can see here, here's our object draped in plasma right here. And they took this and they clipped the corner of it off. Wonder why. Got the rest of it, but they just kind of had to edit out that one little, why can't we have that part right there? So there's your solar filament eruption or whatever. So, old news. Let's move on to spaceweather.com. Now, increasing chances of flares. Now, with the emergence of new sunspot AR 3889 near the sun's eastern limb, there are now 3 big sunspot regions posing a threat for X-class solar flares. 3 sunspots posing threats for X-class flares. That's why our X-flare potential is up at 25. Okay. Back to 3889 joins 83 and 86, all of which have mixed polarities, delta class magnetic fields susceptible to explosive magnetic reconnection. NOAA forecasters estimate 35% chance of X flares. So 25 at one site, 35. I agree with these guys, especially when we have 3 of them with the delta configuration. Okay, CME sparks the Arctic auroras is expected. The CME that hit Earth on November 7th. The glancing blow was so subtle that at first it did not trigger our CME alarms. As Earth moved into the CME's wake, however, it became clear that a solar storm had arrived. Auroras spread around the Arctic Circle, including these over Farkenberger, Iceland. Anyways, beautiful image. Come over, read more about it if you want. But a little glancing blow there. It did hit, and we did get some auroras out of it. Now, let's come on over to our Schumann resonance here. And take a deep breath. And do you want to see apprehension on a chart? It's basically what was going on down below at the Earth's core during the last 48 hours. Okay. It has been quite a roller coaster ride, especially for me. Um, how I don't know how to explain this to you guys, but this has just been off the hook. And it's not over, okay? Just because the election's over, there's all kinds of rumors still floating around. So there's this sense of apprehension in the air. Some people are breathing a sigh of relief and relaxing. We know some people are absolutely losing their mind. And we have this going on in the background as well. So even if you're trying to maintain your composure and you're going along your day, just trying to do your best, this is going on in the background as well. This is your core and the shell grinding on each other, creating these frequencies at very intense levels. The white denotes intensity, okay? The stripe is just covering the frequency band starting from 0 down to 40 hertz. Okay, so it's been a very bumpy ride. Our 7.83, we like to see a nice smooth green stripe, good continuity, has been on a roller coaster ride with grinding, a break, intense grinding, taper off, grinding, taper. Okay, so nothing. Back to grinding. So it's just been this intense roller coaster ride of emotions and pain and irritation and miscommunication with others. And what a time to be going through this kind of activity while we're going through the election at the same time. So the reason why you feel kind of weird is because you have some kind of little post stress. The stress has kind of gone away for a second and you're kind of still numb from being like in combat. If you've ever been in combat before, once you step out of it, you're kind of in shock. You're still super hypersensitive. Okay, so there's your Schumann just been grinding away. Okay, and we've had some big pressure going on and big releases. So it wasn't just a tapering event. Some of these had a lot of pressure going on, and then the big release. A lot of pressure going on, big release. A lot of pressure, big release. Then the core and the shell kind of stopped for a second. You see this one stripe right there, that black little dimming right through there was not very long, but right back grinding again. And you can see our latest readings. It's not too intense, but we're still in, well, apprehension land, kind of. A lot of people are handling it quite well and have used the tools well and are actually finding that they can walk right through this with no problem. Meanwhile, a lot of other people are still experiencing the side effects, which is understandable. Meanwhile, let's get over here to Null School. We have our intertropical convergence zone that has shifted north about 15 degrees here. Instead of meeting at the equator, they're meeting up here at this latitude. You can see it's starting to break down here. Air's starting to get down into this region now, so that has shifted south, and it's not doing it over on this side of the world too much anymore, nor is it doing it here in India much. You see this air come up to here and then kind of stop. There's this band right here going horizontally that's keeping air from going up into the northern hemisphere. Meanwhile, in this zone, you can see it was creeping all the way up to 15 degrees, but this new pattern coming down, diving down here and pushing this way has really pushed it back down towards the equator. So our convergence zone here is starting to act normal. The one on the other side acted a little more normal. We just have this region right here where it's still kind of going into the northern hemisphere there a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to move in a little higher up in altitude. And you can see we have this hurricane forming here in the Gulf. Okay, let me put it right about there. You can see the wind patterns and which direction it's possibly going to go. All right, I trust this model right here and the wind pattern set up on this more than I do the spaghetti models that all the forecasters use. This thing just shows you all the wind patterns. That's what this tool does, is a wind pattern tool. So you can kind of see it's probably going to go up into this region and hit in Texas right around there. All right. Meanwhile, look at this big old huge vortex out here, pulling weather across Canada, way up into off of the tip of Greenland up there. Okay. Another big vortex going over here, kind of oblong, little double vortex kind of split there. Meanwhile, what's going on over here but another typhoon? This region has been lashed just over and over and over, typhoon after typhoon after typhoon. They're getting pummeled. And look what's starting to form out here. Okay. Now what I want to do here is take you up to our polar vortex. And we're going to slide on down, pull back. And you can see that our polar vortex is now starting to get organized. It's getting, stronger and stronger each day. It's very broad and very, not very intense, except for this region is already picking up in intensity, that's for sure. But you can see we have two fetches, one in, one in thruster of air there, and then the other one coming over here, this other's fetch that sucks in air to it. So there's your polar vortex in the northern hemisphere starting to form, while the one in the southern hemisphere is starting to deteriorate. It turns into two vortexes, diminishes. So we are in transition, and now pretty soon we're going to be doing polar vortex reports in the wintertime, because this will have drastic effects on our weather in the wintertime. Okay, so for now, we're going to go back to 850, and we're going to come over here to our SO2. This is sulfur dioxide, not carbon dioxide. Okay, big difference. This is basically vaporized magma. It's the gas that surrounds the magma down below. Let me take the winds off here. And it's being pushed up to the underside of the crust, and it wants to come out any kind of perforations it can find. So here's your country divided, bleeding out on one side. The other on the left is perforations in the crust, volcanic sites. All right, you can see it's not such this defined little line so much anymore. It's kind of blending back together a little bit. But what we need to do here is we're going to do a little fire report here as well, because, well, this gas comes out of the ground so hot that it sparks fires at the emission sites. And we were having a big rash of fires up here in Canada last year with all these emission sites. Well, now it's crept into the lower 48. The activity had, flared up and then diminished and then flared up again and then diminished. Well, here we are in another flare-up session. Can you see it? Here out in Idaho, they're starting to have forest fires again. This gas is getting, there we go, it's getting stronger emission sites, and it's starting to cluster in all these wildfires. A lot of these fires are being started from underground, okay? And you can see it spreading down into California. There's even a fire out here in Utah. And sometimes it gets all the way down into Mexico. I see a good fire right here, probably induced by said emission site. Okay, the fires themselves do not spew SO2. Okay, these are sites that are super hot gas coming out of the ground, sparking fires in the brush, the nearby brush. Okay, so there's your fire report. Everybody up in here, take note. You guys got a breakout of fires going on all through this whole region right here. And you can see there's been an uptick in SO2 emission sites. Look how peppered that whole Washington, Oregon area, Idaho area is. If we look, let me take the fires off for a second. And just look how densely packed all the SO2 sites are there. That's That's a new feature here. We've got a new uptick in pressure coming up from down below. All right, so let's continue on. Mexico has their SO2 emission sites, volcanoes going off, all kinds of stuff through Central America, Cuba, Jamaica. All the islands out here are all volcanic islands, and they're all spewing SO2. So they're basically active. All right, they're at unrest and they're spewing SO2 all through northern part of South America, all along the western coast. These are all individual sites. Once upon a time ago, 7 years ago, 4 little dots like this showed up on the Sierras, and the whole internet took attention and, oh my God, it's the big one. No. Now there are millions of dots all around the world, and hardly anybody makes a peep about it. Meanwhile, we go to our Fulcrum Point area, nice strong emission site right there. You can see the other one up here. This whole 5-pack is what I kind of judge. And you can see this one isn't faint anymore. The second one has kind of come to life a little bit. The fifth one hanging tough. So we have a little uptick of pressure here. And when we come down here and you see all these intense sites, and you can kind of tell by the plume that it makes and blows out into the Pacific that we've had another burp or another round of pressure come up from down below. And you can see the SO2 emission sites. These are perforations in the crust, the path of least resistance. And magma wants to come out of these sites, but it's too thick and viscous. Only the gas can make it through these little small channels. Okay, stop off over here in Hawaii and visit a friend of mine. Even though she doesn't know, I love her so. Anyways, SO2 emissions coming out of this region still. This is the hub of the Pacific Rim. You got plate boundaries that are path of least resistance that emit SO2 sites all around the rim. Well, in the middle is the hub, and it has to relieve pressure as well. So SO2 emissions coming out of Hawaii. Back up for their time zone, and here we go. Going into China in this region, okay? This is getting serious. Their emission sites are turning into long ribbons, just long strands or fissures or cracks that are just spewing SO2 along a linear fashion, okay? It's not just speckled like we've seen before. These are starting to go linear. All right, very porous ground, a lot of pressure under there. No like volcanic emission sites, major volcanoes in this region to emit that pressure, so it just leaks SO2 very intensely. All right, we come over here, you see Japan is a volcanic island system. All the volcanoes along Japan are all emitting SO2. Even here, Taiwan, our fulcrum point on the plate boundary, our relief valve still emitting SO2 because we need more earthquake activity there. Meanwhile, the Philippines is getting slammed with that typhoon. You can see the typhoon picking up this gas swirling around. Okay, India is still having their issues. It gets concentrated, thrown up against the Himalayas. It won't cross over, so it gets recirculated around. They're darkening up much like China is. And then this region is having their issues as well. You can see it starting to blossom. All these independent sites all hooking up and stuff, getting stronger and stronger and darker. Okay, there's some pretty dark emissions coming out of that region right there. All right, and it goes all the way up into Europe. The whole planet is bleeding SO2. There's certain regions that have thicker crust or, not as many perforations like up here in the desert, but basically you look all around the world, it's, it's enveloping even Australia and stuff. We come here to the island of Java. This island has so much SO2 emissions, it acts like our relief valve, keeping pressure in this region, like relieving it. There's risk 603. I was hoping you'd make it. All right, good. I'll get you a wrench one of these days. I gotta catch up on my homework and do my due diligence in the chat room. Meanwhile, SO2 emission site, relief valve. We come over here really quick. We want to talk about our deep quake region where a lot of our pressure comes up through the crust, comes up from down below. We see our deep quakes in this region first. So our deep quake region around Fiji having SO2 emissions. Same with out here at Tonga, okay? Then we have this long cylindrical type island, pencil shaped island with 2 emission sites. It relieves pressure as it comes into the plate boundary system, acting like a relief valve itself, much like a slow leak in a bicycle tube, pressure that's coming into the plate boundary system, and you got a slow leak right next to the valve stem. Well, the rest of the tube ain't going to pump up much. So meanwhile, it relieves pressure. Take note of that for later. Now we're going to back up and go into another chemical we got to talk about every once in a while. Boy, we have to do this one tonight. Is SO4. Okay. It's a particulate as well. SO4 is a sulfur compound, and it's not SO2. It has 2 other oxygen atoms per molecule, making it SO4. So it's a sulfide, a sulfate. I call it sulfur quad oxide as a layman's term, okay? Now, this gas, SO4, is emitted from the ground from volcanic sites as well. You can see it coming out all over the place. It also is a man-made gas too, man-made. So not all of these are emission sites, okay? But that's not what we're reporting on. This gas, this particulate, okay, it's a particulate. Water vapor wants to adhere to a particulate. Well, this particulate, SO4, when water adheres to it, it actually has a chemical bond. It does something different. It fuses together with this particulate. When you mix H2O with SO4, you get a new chemical compound called H2SO4, which is known as sulfuric acid. The components SO4 and all that water vapor that has been introduced to our planet, into our air, mixes with particulates. Well, this is an SO4 particulate, and it's all over the planet. And now we have our water bonding with SO4, creating H2SO4, which is sulfuric acid. And now we have acid rain in these storms all around the planet. Okay? And it gets caught up in these storms. See the swirling vortex of the hurricane? Yeah, the hurricane's going to unleash acid rain on this sulfuric acid rain on the country. So, yeah, let's get away from that chemical. All right, we got to do another one here. Back to chemicals. Now we're going to do CO2. And we have like a recent one. Okay, so your CO2, everybody understand that CO2 is plant food? Okay, it's what plants eat. And let me pull up the color chart really quick. Blue being your intense CO2 in that region. Brown being less CO2 because plants eat CO2. A lot of plants in this region, really low CO2. Because it's the rainforest. It eats CO2. Meanwhile, you come up to America and you can see CO2 emissions. There's some blue right over here. Okay, there's a couple little spots, but all in all, not a bunch of blue, just some white. We just kind of cruise around the world and, let's see who produces a bunch of CO2 that they want to tax you on. Where's all the CO2 being produced from? What region of the planet again? Who's all the CO2 being produced by? Oh, it's these guys over here. Yet, it's not a bad thing because all this jungle over here loves to eat it up and it produces more plants and thicker jungle. You can see areas that are, there's low CO2 because of the thicker jungle, right? It eats up CO2. Now, whoever taught you that this gas was bad in school, you didn't pay attention. CO2 is plant food. Plants, if we don't have CO2, the plants don't produce oxygen and we all suffocate to death. Okay? But I just want you to kind of understand who the culprit in the CO2 emission game is, okay? And who should be taxed if you're going to tax CO2 emissions. See what I'm saying? And then you understand how this isn't a very dangerous gas. No, the plants need it to eat. You choke off the plants, you choke yourself off. Anybody pay attention in school? Sometimes this stuff is just irritating because it's like you guys fall for these lies and they're just lying to you, telling you, hey, oh, that's going to kill you. No, it's not. It's plant food, dummy. All right, now, every once in a while we have to do that and go through that process. But now let's move on to our sea surface temperature anomaly report. You can see as we go into transition now, the cooler water from the upper Arctic and stuff is trying to mix in with our oceans and cool them down, yet we still have a lot of these seamounts, volcanic emission sites on the ocean floor that are emitting hot water, steam, SO2, volcanic magma maybe, or even possibly radioactive isotopes from down below. Okay, that's Tamaulipas and seamounts in that region. Meanwhile, this triangle structure over here is kind of diminishing, slowly but surely. And we have seen diminishing up in the Wanda Fuca area. Let me just kind of pull this in a little bit brighter for you guys. Yeah, it is about control. But what they failed to understand is God's in control, not man. All right, so here's your Wanda Fuca. Comes out, goes zigzagging up. We still have this little hot spot right in the middle of it, but look off the coast. Remember how it was turning all yellow and everything out here in this region? It has diminished a lot, okay? A lot. And we have this one little patch. We might see a little bit of earthquake activity through this region, especially when we get a new uptick in pressure from down below. We still have this region off the Pacific or North California coast here. But look at all the cold water through Southern California. And then this almond-shaped, teardrop-shaped bulge right here has really diminished. And we only got these few last little, dark red spots that are left. Little hot spot still kind of going along here, but on the opposite side, really cold water. Pretty odd effect right there. Meanwhile, very hot water, something going on along the coast right here. You could see hot, cold right next to each other. Our Gulf Stream is slowly but surely being desalinated, and it's losing its strength, and you can see the currents are kind of getting shimmied around too by these heat plumes. Once you have one open and another one transfers pressure to the new site, and all of a sudden something blossoms in a new spot and other places cool off. And now we're seeing still this region glowing a little bit, and then out here where we would have a well-defined La Nina with a bunch of blue curling waves all curling back. It had beautiful structure before this site opened up. This site, when it opened here, has really caused issues and really disrupted the La Nina pattern that was set up there. Now, this island right here off the coast of South America lines up with another spot on the antipode across the planet. This island and the antipode, which is over in India, over here, bingo, right out here, could have been at one time the old poles as well. This planet has been through many shifts and many different axes over its millennia, over its eons. Okay, and some of the geographic land effects that we see, and we also see it in the crust, that the Earth was at a different tilt at one time, and then it was at another tilt another time, and another tilt another time, which would make it would take it and tilt it like this, and your equator would be at a different region. If you I can't really twist it, but if you put the equator way up north and it was running north-south, it would be different. So I believe that at one time, this little island may have been either the North or South Pole at one time, and there's a weak spot right here. So it doesn't surprise me. We see these two weak spots, this one on this side and this one on this side of this island structure, which is a volcanic island structure in itself. All right, so a lot of different things going on as far as the prehistory of the planet, but these two little hotspots on either side of that island, when it could have been a lot of ancient sites, line up with this being a pole as well at one time. Still hot emissions up here in the, up in the North Atlantic here above Russia. Still a lot of hot water emissions on the ocean floor up there. Okay, let me just put on the winds really quick here. We'll do the conveyor belt structures that accompany these that we're matching pretty well. When you get hot water, hot air forms over it. Cooler water, cooler air forms over it. While hot air rises, cool air rushes in to replace it, causing a vortex. And these cold-hot matchups are showing we're matching up with our cold and hot water patches. All right, and this was controlling our weather throughout the course of the summertime. It wasn't being controlled by our jet stream. It was being controlled more by the thermal patches out in the water. Not so much as before, because we're starting to have infusion now of our lower jet stream now that we have a polar vortex forming. So here we are. Let's go back to the air really quick. Here's your polar vortex up at this level. The stronger your polar vortex gets, the stronger your lower jet, or that's your upper jet and your lower jet, the more influential they'll be over the weather. Okay. But for right now, you can see this is your jet stream effects for the US. But then when we go over to your ocean sea surface temperature anomalies and put on the wind. Thank you. Whew. Okay, you see your jet stream matching up with this, right? But this is actually matching up with the thermals coming out. So the weather patterns that are being formed by the thermals down at the surface are actually reaching up to higher elevations and controlling the jet stream. It's going to be a little battle back and forth until I think that polar vortex gets strong enough and the upper and lower jet streams at that level get strong enough to kind of override this effect. But for now, there's your conveyor belt structures around the planet have changed over time. Every time a new site opens up, pressure either transfers or heat transfers, and we get different conveyor belt structures every time we got a new effect opening up. Just really quick touch base here without the winds. Java, we got our region here that emits a lot of a relief valve. You can see heat building up in this area, so some venting on the ocean floor around there now because it hasn't vented enough volcanically. Whew. Did I repeat enough stuff? All right, good. Let's come on over to our earthquake report now and open this up. Bear with me. I'm just a poor dude with a secondhand used laptop, and I'm grateful that I get a page open every once in a while. All right. Let's get the satellite pulled up and do our earthquake report. Coming on over to our deep quake region. Now, I haven't done an earthquake report in a couple of days, and we have had earthquake activity in this area. So right now, it's quiet. There's no surface quakes or deep quakes. But with this latest round of pressure, I expect we'll probably see an uptick in magnitude on the next deep quake that comes out of this region. Probably, we're used to seeing mid-range 4, so probably 5, maybe a little higher. If it hasn't all vented the pressure already. Meanwhile, really quick, beginning of the plate boundary system. This is where pressure starts to come to the surface right here. we were seeing mid-range 4 and then a 5 happen here. It was textbook stuff happening over and over and over again until this island started spewing SO2. Once the relief valve here of SO2 started coming out, now when pressure wants to come to the surface here and strike, it can't because it's being relieved just off to the side here, and it's really reduced quake activity in this region. Plus, we have a lot of volcanoes along through here that are active, relieving pressure from down below as well. Now, as we come into this region right here, you can see this 5.2 down at 91. This is not at the surface, it's down a little deeper. That's an indicator of an earthquake at a volcanic site. As we go in a little bit, you can see this whole volcanic island right here kind of reaches out. There's like a plateau area that reaches out to here. All kinds of little seamounts right next to this. So in between here, this island and the plateau, you can see another little seamount, other little islands right here. So something going on out here on the ocean floor, a little volcanic activity going on, and you're seeing earthquakes at volcanic sites, which is an indication of pressure down below making its way to the surface. 140 or 4.5 at 130 there too. Now, as we come up through the plate boundary system, note how quiet it is all through here, all through Sumatra, all up through here, just off of the fulcrum point in this lake region. Actually, this is the fault, that weird fault zone structure. You got 4.6 at the surface here. I want to show you just really quick. Go in just a really tight. You see this scattered leaf type effect right here? There's snow on the mountains, and it defines all the little valleys, all the nooks and crannies, right? Look at how many cracks and crevices and nooks and crannies and faults run through this whole area. And right here at the surface, there's a new path of least resistance right here. We've got a 4.6 here in China at the surface, relieving energy that's being built up under here. So, and you can see how pressure kind of came and curled around a little bit here, formed this weird little shape there. All right, coming back over to this region. No fulcrum point here, quakes here at Taiwan, and we need more of that activity to relieve pressure in that region. Meanwhile, it's having a bunch of SO2 emission sites and even thermal pockets growing around it because we haven't had much earthquake activity. Just above it, though, right here is your 4.9. We usually say 5 here at this channel just because this 4.9 list is getting longer and longer, but you can see this ridge that runs underneath the water here. Back out, you see this little plateau and this ridge that runs along, and you see the islands running along that chain. Right along that area is your quake. Now, this area, it's just been so much fun lately with all the quake activity. 4.7, Volcano Island. I don't even need to say anything besides Volcano Island. Earthquake at a volcano island, okay? You got your 4.5s, all these mid-range 4s. What's this biggest one? A 5.2, bunch of surface stuff. Okay, all around this little structure area in between this fault line and this row of buildings that's on the ocean floor. I was pointing this out a couple nights ago when we were in this region, and finally a friend of mine, Dabu, made a little video about this, so it's getting out there. People are starting to notice, but yeah. Just all, perfectly square, 90-degree angles. Look like I have venting on the roof, and these are huge building structures too. They're not small. They're bigger than some islands. See this little volcanic island over here? Yeah, that thing on the ocean floor is much bigger. And for them to be evenly spaced in a straight line just screams intelligent design. And there's probably prehistory or another, civilization, culture, time when those were above water. Interesting stuff though, huh? If you find this interesting, this row of buildings, and you're like intrigued, you're like, what is this? What's going on? Brian, what if you're intrigued or you're caught up, you're enthused, you're intrigued, you're caught up in what is going on here. And that will come into play later when we talk about the term being caught up. Right now, you're caught up in how the heck did these structures get there and what are they? Okay. Where is that? Well, look, it's just south of Japan here. Bing, bing, bing. You come out here. This is Volcano Island. There's all kinds of little islands out here. I'm trying to think of the most. Here we go to a different map really quick. Let's go to. Yeah, they don't even have it labeled on. There you go. In the middle of nowhere. Not many identify the Bone-In Islands. Oh my goodness, it says Bone-In Islands. All right, so, whoops, we got to change that back here. So, all right, so, and you can see all these seamounts all along this area, but all kinds of interesting stuff that's going on, huh? All right, let's see. Before we get into America, let's do the rest of the world really quick. Nothing after that one. Yeah, very quiet through there, very quiet around the rest of the planet. Plate boundary 50 here at the surface. Another plate boundary 5.1. That's a little deeper. That's not the plate boundary. That's these little volcanic islands right here. See this little strip of volcanic islands? That'd be the next one right out here. We have an earthquake on the flank of a volcanic island. And our magnitude's 5, basically. 5 at the surface, 5 at the volcanoes, mid-range 4s. Come along this region here. This is where we saw the bigger quake before and the diminishing of SO2 emission sites. Something probably settled there or pressure was relieved in that region. But we still do get a 4.4 there down at 160. That's good. It's relieving pressure in that region. Here's your fulcrum point where we saw our SO2 emission sites. Just south of that, we got your 4.8 down at 110 and a 4.1 at 178. You see this mountainous, tough, rugged terrain. Your quakes don't come up to the surface too well in that kind of condition, so you get them down a little deeper. Really touch base with that one, a 4.3 there at 67. Okay, so we've covered all of that. Cocos Plate really quick, a 4.3 down at 46. Here we are in the middle. This usually we're seeing activity over here by the Dominican Republic. 3.4, 3.3. That's a little uptick. It was at 2.8, mid-range 2s. So a slight uptick in pressure in that region. But this is our newer spot right here. Okay. You can see out here these little seamounts, these little, let me get that out of there. These ribbons run down little ridges. You can see little volcanic activity had been trying to go on in that area a long time ago. But that's kind of a quake, a diverse quake. It's not along a plate boundary. It's not on a weak spot in the slough zone or anything. It's way out here, and there's no like really defined volcanic island that's made it to the surface around here. This is your diverse quake that happens because of the pressure down below. That's what makes them diverse, is because they're happening at areas that aren't your typical earthquake site or earthquake activity, making them kind of stand out from regular activity, which makes it diverse quake. It's in a spot where it's not usually. Okay, now we're going to go into America, all magnitude. Oh, got to get back to work. All right, hang in there, Jeremy. You can always watch it on replay or just listen in the background. All right, here we go. Little microquake right there, not too bad. But this new one, this red one right here, is a 4.7 down at 45. You see this volcanic ridge that runs along here with islands that have made it to the surface. Just off of this ridge out here in the water, actually, there's little islands popping up around this. So just down below here, 4.7, something going on underneath this ridge, pressure blowing or pushing up underneath there. And that's a new quake. That's in red. All right, just minimal microquake activity through there. Come down through the Wanda Fuca. You can see inside the plate here. This is where that little hot spot was still remaining. And you can see that pressure is being relieved here in the form of earthquakes at a 2.6. That's not even a microquake. That's a 2.6. Didn't rattle anybody, but it's not a microquake. So a decent little quake. And then right below it, the same basic magnitude, 2.7, just a slight uptick at the fulcrum point. Okay, so relatively the same amount of pressure in this area being relieved at the same magnitude. A little inland push here is 1.9, not too big. Coming down through all this northern part of the San Andreas, very quiet. You got your geysers have, come back to life again here, relieving a lot of the pressure, some of the bigger quakes. 1.5, that's nothing. Okay, good. It's doing its job as far as relieving pressure as it comes down through this northern part of the Bay Area. Here at the other part, we have the Hayward fault systems. There's 2.2 there, a little bit along the San Andreas here. And then I'm looking, all right, I got to check this one because I know where this site is. 1.4. 1.0. Okay, good. Just venting energy in that region. A little round of pressure coming through the west coast here. It's not much. It's just a little bit of microquake activity. This little site out here has been active for a while. Not as active, but our biggest one here at Stovepipe Wells is a 3.5 right at the surface. So this little area is still pumping along. And you can see with our latest round of pressure, our new little red quake right there, and its magnitude is tiny. It's a 1.1. So just a little microquake activity going on through that region. Here's another one way over here. A 0.0. All right. This whole teardrop shape, look how it's the overall quake activity is really diminished. We have one right here in the middle, a 2.3 here just off of Baja, Mexico. Coming over to our man-made perforations in the crust. Yes, we do that. 2.6 here is just a magnitude check. 1.9s. And New Mexico getting hit with snowstorms right now. Looky here. This is on the fulcrum point of your New Madrid, 2.1 at the surface. That's a little indication of pressure down below too. Okay, you can see how it comes up, does a double back right here. Dutch Sense has pointed out the Craton, the Wanda Fuca, and the New Madrid quite well over the course of the years. You can see it in the topography of the country. So here's your 180 double back right here. Your fulcrum point would be right about there. It's just off of the fulcrum point. So pretty darn close. 2.1 here in Dell, Arkansas is an indication that the New Madrid still has the potential to have activity. Nothing too big right now, and nothing going up through this region. Okay, usually when we see something here, we'll see something there. So that's good little distribution of energy. It wasn't much, but it shows your little spot. Those are spots to watch in the future. Okay, we are done with that. What I need to do before opening the volcano page is get some of these out of the way and adjust them wavy lines. Get this, pull this up a little bit taller. As tall as this little stand goes. I have to try this little stand. My tripod broke. Okay, back to the show. Up above there, you see 36 erupting, currently erupting, 33 in warning, and 26 at unrest. I don't even include the 26. 33 and 30 and 39, or 36, sorry, is 69 volcanoes, roughly 70. Let's just round it up because we don't use the 26. Roughly 70 active volcanoes. When this started happening to me 7 years ago, we only had one active volcano. It was Maui, okay? And the idea of having more than one would be kind of scary. But now we are way past that. We're at 70. And if I had told you back then that we would have 70 volcanoes by now, you would have said, Brian, you're crazy. Well, here we are. And I am still crazy about you. Here we go. Let's open her up and get her done, son. Stole my invention. All right. Karaminski volcano is up in the Kamchatka here, is 8,000 foot blast. Okay, that's a pretty fair blast out of that one. Shivalush, also on the Kamchatka, 32,000 feet. Now, anything that's over the teens, 19, 20, that's getting pretty high. We're at 32 right here. Remember I was telling you on the Schumann there was a release of pressure? Well, there's a good release right there, a 32,000 foot blast. It gets that high because the pressure down below was so intense that, caused it to shoot that high. Okay? So 32,000 foot blast out of Shivalush on the Kamchatka relieved a bunch of pressure up there. No earthquake activity in that region because of blasts like that. Meanwhile, 9,000 out of Canleon, Ibu or IBU at 10,000. Usually here we're at 7 or 8,000. Another uptick in height here at 10,000. Luatobi Flores. Do you see this number? This is not a typo. Lubito Flores had a blast to 55,000 feet. Okay, that's putting ash way up, almost into the stratosphere up there, okay? It's going to have, every time we have these blasts, it just puts more and more ash in the air, okay? 55,000 is a clear indicator of a lot of pressure being relieved. Remember I showed you on the Schumann, we had some, pressure, intense pressure releases. Definitely right there, Luatobi. Meanwhile, Semeru, which was 14,000, is maxing out at 15,000 now. Merapi, 12,000. That's pretty high. We have 8,000 out of Ducono. That's normal. Here's Popocatépetl back on the map again at 19,000. All right. Sangay, no VA or whatever. But Sabancaya, we'll get it probably in the next report. Let's open up this. Trying to get these wavy lines out of the screen. All right. Now, as we go on in here, here's your map. All right, this region right here, here's your Fiji and your deep quake region. All these volcanoes along this chain right here relieve pressure and keeping quake activity down in that region. Remember I showed you the Pencil Island right there with the 2 emission sites and all the volcanoes along that region. Don't forget about Erebus, active volcano down in Antarctica, melting some ice away. Karaminski, meanwhile, on the Kamchatka, 20,000. That's a huge difference in height of Karaminski there. 20,000 foot. Notice a big uptick in heights. Come on now. All right, back to Tsunoshima, no identifiable. This, Canleon, 11,000 feet. This is our new one at 11,000. Meanwhile, IBU 8,000. Remember we saw that one higher at 10,000? So earlier it was at 8, now it's at 10. There's definitely an uptick in pressure. Here again, Luotobi at 55,000. Semaru 15. It's usually 14, so that's an uptick there. Marapi, same 12,000. Ducono, same 8,000. Popocatépetl. All right. We saw it at 19,000 here earlier today. It was at 23,000. So we've had another blast, one at 23 and then another one at 19. Santa Aguido, 14,000. Fuego, 16. Sangay, 18. Reventador, 14,000. These are going to desensitize you. These are still huge blasts too. Okay. How many squares do you see? Hopefully 7. All right, so there's your report. Actually, we didn't even do a report yesterday. Just kind of getting into these really quick here. Again, Kluchevskoy. Big old blast out of Kluchevskoy there. Karaminsky, 20,000. Nishishimo. Here's Kenlone, 11,000. Ibu, the day before yesterday, was at 8. Remember, we saw 8, now 10. So an increase in pressure there. Okay, 14. So 15 out of Marapi. 20 out of Popocatépetl again there by Mexico City. That thing's been going off quite frequently there next to a very big populated city. Okay, each one of these blasts is putting more and more ash in the air. Sangay, 19,000. Reventador, 14. Here's Sabancaya, 24,000. Okay, every time we have an explosion, it puts more ash into the air. I showed you those thermal pockets on the map. That's water being evaporated into water vapor in the air as well. So we have an uptick in vapor, water vapor in the air, and an uptick in particulates in the form of ash and SO4. Okay, now we have more water, more particulates. We're having heavier downpours, thicker, much more rain out of each storm, all because of these blasts. These lists are insanity. They cannot talk about this on the news because if the whole world knew that there were 70 volcanoes going off currently all the time, they would probably would not take it so well. All right. So do not get desensitized to all these. This is absolute insanity. Currently erupting. And I keep reading the list of all these. Barren Island, Bizamani, Kapahu, Ducono, Ebico, Erebus, Urda Ale, Etna, Fernandina, Fuego. Just because we don't read them on the thing every night. Fuego, Home Reef, Ibu, Iwo Jima, Karaminsky, Krakatoa. There's the son of Krakatoa right here, one of the most dangerous volcanoes in human history, currently active, and that's right in the Sunda Strait, in between Java and Sumatra. So we got all kinds of volcanoes on the island of Java, on the island of Sumatra, and then right in between them in the Sunda Strait is Krakatoa going off. Meanwhile, there's 2 Luotobi Flores, and the other 2 Luotobi Laki, which is probably should be on this list. Meanwhile, Luotolo, Marapi, Masaya, Merapi, Michael in the South Sandwich Islands, Namiragira, Nyiragongo, Popocatépetl, Reventador, Sabancaya, Sakurajima, Sangay, Santa Guida, Semaru, Chivalu, Stromboli. Let's do our weather report, shall we? With some tropical tidbits. Brought to you by your tidbit maker. All right, let me get this down. Now, with all of our added moisture in the air and added particulates, we are seeing heavier downpours out of each storm, causing severe flash flooding every time we see just a regular storm. So, higher water precipitation amounts, larger storms, larger hail, taller thunderheads producing stronger tornadoes, taller thunderheads producing stronger hurricanes. Okay, for right now, though, we're kind of in this little groove right here. You can see the green, warm, moist air colliding with cold air here in over New Mexico. They had some pretty deep snowfalls there because of that effect. Now, that's your current conditions, nighttime of the 7th. As we go into the morning time here, we are going to see the chance for severe weather in this zone again. They have been hit time and time again already, and here we go again. Very close. Look how close this cold air is to this warm patch. They're really pinched together. That might produce quite a chance for severe weather in the morning hours, catching people off guard in Oklahoma and Kansas there. Meanwhile, it kind of lingers there at noontime, getting very severe over Oklahoma, Kansas region. Convection, that could possibly look a little stronger than that. By the nighttime, it starts to shunt north. There's the morning of the 9th. Meanwhile, you see this moisture being wrapped around to this, hooking up with this. It's feeding moisture into this. Let me back up a frame. See how they come together and they kiss in the middle of the night right there, 4 a.m. in the morning. Here they go, hooking up. Then this one losing strength, but still a lot of moisture being sent up into this region by the noontime of the 9th. Then severe weather by 4 o'clock there, convection. Nighttime chances in Tennessee, Kentucky area there. Morning of the 10th, noon, convection. Nighttime, moving into the Pacific Northwest with snow and stuff. Morning of the 11th, noon, convection. Nighttime. Morning of the 12th, noon, convection, nighttime. 13, noon, convection, nighttime. 14, noon, convection, nighttime. 15, noon, convection, nighttime. 17, noon, or 16, noon, convection, nighttime. 17, noon, convection, nighttime. You see how these lows come in like this and start to connect with this? Now, this is not set in stone. This is way out there, but you see how the central low starts to form right there. This is the textbook setup that we're looking for, or not looking for, but that we are going to look forward to seeing here set up pretty quick. Hopefully this one doesn't pan out to be intense like that, but you can see how these are going to wrap up like this. And in that corridor again, this tornado alley is now shifted south again. It's no longer up in Canada because colder air is now diving further south. So our severe weather is getting further south. Now there's a convection at 18, night of 18, morning of the 19th. You see how it can push up from here. Here comes another cyclonic event. Noon, convection, something like that would be terrible. Right there, nighttime. Oh, gee. Let's pray this doesn't happen. What? This is way out there. This is kind of off the scales a little bit, all right? But let's just say, just in case, if something like this were to happen, this hurricane right here, shoving a bunch of moisture up into this region. You got cold air pockets reaching around here. There's cooler air aloft, still down below, with warmer, moisture air aloft colliding here. And the more that this just sits there, it drives it more up this way. See how this high and all these lines, this is all cold air. This is all the warm air colliding, being pushed up through there. If we were to see an event like that right there, would be not good for a lot of the region. That you were talking large hail, severe weather, deep snow, power outages of millions of people, because that is a very populated region. And basically starting from this region right here, all of that area is going to be under the gun. It's just going to take out that whole region. All right, so let's pray that that doesn't happen. We can pray this away because a lot of this is, well, even with all the particulates and stuff going on, most of the weather is spiritual in nature. Believe me. And if you don't believe me, I will show you here in just a minute once we wrap this up and get to our spiritual report, okay? So the one I'm most concerned about is not that big thing at the end. It's this latest little band right there, okay? Coming up into the morning hours right around the corner here of the morning of the 8th, people getting caught off guard by some severe weather. Hopefully no tornadoes in this at all, but we're going to have to watch close because there at noon, you see the red in that's a hatch risk there of a much higher risk of tornadoes actually forming there. Okay, so tomorrow, already starting from now, be aware that through the morning hours, there's going to be severe weather in that region through the noontime there, very severe, even hanging around at convection, okay? You might even see it blossom even harder than what they're showing here at convection. Then by the sun starts to go down, it's nighttime, the cloud tops diminish, and then it tampons down a little bit. But with severe weather, you see this darker blue, you're going to have heavier snowfall amounts in this region too. And they already saw some crippling snow here in New Mexico. You might see crippling snow here also in this as well. We're all looking at the red dot. Don't forget about the blue crippling, snow over here, very deep, intense amounts over a short period of time. And we also have this guy creeping in there. Let's check landfall. They kiss in the middle of the night, kind of hook up a little bit, steals a lot of the energy away from it. So it doesn't really even kind of make landfall. It kind of dissipates right before it makes landfall because this other storm robs it. Yep, this little guy right here gets stronger than the hurricane. Boom, and steals the strength from it, sapping it. See, there goes most of the hurricane up there. All this energy just got sapped. This took it from here, put it right in the middle. And that could be some heavy rains. Even though you don't see much severe weather, just a couple yellow dots, that could be some heavy, copious amounts of rain right there. Okay, enough of that. Now let's get on. We did our astrophysics and geophysics. Now it's time for some, well, what people would refer to as metaphysics or the spiritual report. And this is the physics of how you work. Because you were designed, you're made by a creator, designed you a certain way. All right, we're going to pull up some images here to read tonight. I'm just going to, because I got some stuff for you guys to read, or stuff for our reading tonight. Where was this other one? After the out, of course. Come on. Oh, no, I'm not going to get away from it. All right. There is this event here. Let's pull this up and give it a little volume. All right, a little bit of playback speed. What? 5. So, whoops. Okay, it's at 0.5. Okay, good. A lot of the spiritual realm happens in different dimensions at different speeds. Okay, so some of these events have what I call a EVP or an electromagnetic voice print that are attached to some of these paranormal activity. When I see this paranormal activity and I check it and I find an EVP voice print attached to it, that authenticates it up 1,000% because Not many people know about this, let alone how to fake it or put it on a digital form. So, what happens in this event when this shadow appears in the sky, in the spiritual realm, in the EVP, the electromagnetic voice print that is attached to this, you can hear the phrase, he's the Christ that's coming quickly. He's the Christ that's coming quickly. So we're going to try this really quick and just see if we can get this to play really quick. I won't blow out your ears, but got to get it.
Oh. Holy.
I think that was a little bit too slow. Let's speed it up to 7.5 because there's a little message in there. Let's try it again. Oh, did you hear it there? He is the Christ who's coming quickly. Let me just try to replay it. Hopefully you can hear that in there. All right, that's in the wind, it's in the sound, it's in the attached to this video. Okay, and there's multiple different messages in this one, and they're hard to pick out, but right before that, at the very beginning, it says Jesus in the flesh, he is the Christ who's coming quickly. It says Jesus in the flesh, the wolf, he is the Christ who's coming quickly. Or no, something like that. Let's play it again. The first part is even slower. That's why I put it at 5. But you could hear the opening word flesh. And when you hear that, the previous words before it are a little easier to make out. So just really quick. And you hear the little S sound. When we get the headphones on and you put this on and you listen at these little speeds and you slow it down, you can hear this voice say, Jesus in the flesh, the wolf. Then it says he is the Christ who's coming quickly, and you see the shadow and the lightning. All right, so now we're going to go back to regular speed, and I'm just going to play at normal speed. Pardon these people, they're a little excited when they see this, and there's some profanity, but we're all adults here. If you're going to be offended, well, try to get over it. It's the message that's more important. So I'm going to play this at normal speed.
Oh, holy fucking shit, guys. I think power does.
That's twice.
Oh no. Holy fucking shit. I don't think I'm going to be able to get video of it because
that was 3 times.
Holy fuck.
Okay, there were 2 flashes. One, the shadow, and then it jumps, and the lightning bolt is his cane striking the ground. In this event, there's another EVP. I'm going to try to pick it out a little bit. We're going to slow it down a little bit. And sorry about their French, but I want you to hear them say, he's here, here. It's in the wind, actually.
Oh, holy fuck. Oh. Oh.
Okay, you hear it kind of say here, here. Okay, he's here now. All right, you see the shadow walking around in the clouds. He's here, here, like as in right here, this channel. Something else I got for you as well. I got another one just really quickly. Now, we had another event here where an EVP was captured during a weather event, and this storm chaser is chasing a tornado that's flipping over a car. The video isn't very good in this, but it's the EVP in the background that's saying something, and it's saying Brian Knight is coming, and there's more. So listen here. I'll try not to blow your eardrums out.
Outside.
Okay, so these EVPs are showing up on people's videos. My name in it, all kinds of stuff. My face showing up in the clouds. Brian Knight is coming like a lion. All kinds of weird paranormal activity been happening to me. And that's why nobody believes me. But when you take a few moments and see this, all of a sudden you become more blessed than you thought. If we can get that out of there and just get back to the image. All right. Again, we've seen this video. This man captured this face out by the moon. Happens to be my face again. All of this, my face showing up all over the place. My name being called out in the spiritual realm, being captured on EVPs. It's all because of who I am, okay? And that's very important that you guys understand that part, because that's where you get your stability. That's where you get your foundation, okay? Is understanding that this is real, that I am a real person. It is so hard to do this, you guys. It's basically impossible to do this without saying that phrase. Because when you say a certain phrase, everybody just gets the wrong idea. So it has to be done this way. And something else I wanted to show you, that was in my thing there. Let's go back to the Christmas video where we have these images that I am showing you, changing from
Howdy, folks. All the way.
Changing from this lion, or from Jesus to this lion face. Now, here's all these pictures up above. All right. I went forward to where it looks like the round lion face here. Let's just put this back.
Lion type face with the nose right here. Here's an eye coming out here, an eye going that way. Here's its mouth slit, the chin going down here. So this round face right here with a crown still above it. Now I'm going to go through and show you the flip book where it changes from Jesus to this lion face. Okay, now we're here at this image right here. This is a flip book of about maybe 15 or 20 of those pictures, and it's the transition between Jesus's face and the lion face. Now this happened in the clouds, and it was so big and in your face you couldn't see it. It wasn't until I took these images and zoomed out and compressed them. You didn't zoom in. They're too big in your face. You have to zoom out to see these. And these images that you're looking at have all been compressed, each frame, and then put in.
So Brian Knight is coming like a lion. See it? There's Brian Knight coming like a lion. All right. So now you understand what's going on here. And the fact of the matter is, this was taken back in 2020. This has been going on for a while. The rapture that everybody's talking about is happening right now. It's just not the way that everybody thought it was going to happen. And it even says in the Bible that that would happen too, that it would be not like you thought. And much like in the Bible, it's not like you thought. You don't turn into a little white dot and descend up into the air. You are looking at my face in the clouds. Just like those buildings underwater, you're caught up, you're intrigued by what you see. You're caught up with me in the clouds. Okay? So do not be discouraged by the difficulty of keeping your focus on me. I know that your heart's desire is to be aware of my presence continually, and this is a lofty goal. You aim toward it, but you never fully achieve it in this life. So don't let feelings of failure weigh you down. Instead, try to see yourself as I see you. I see you with your face in place of that, okay? So try to see yourself the way I see you, and don't let feelings of failure weigh you down. I'm delighted by your deep desire to walk closely with me through your life, and I am pleased each time you initiate communication with me. Okay, when you're praying or when you initiate communication with me, I'm pleased. In addition, I notice the progress you have made since you first resolved to live in my presence. Since you made the decision to come to this channel and be in my presence, I have noticed the progress you have made. A lot of you are doing awesome. That's what pleases me, is when I see you guys getting the peace that transcends your circumstances, okay? So, when you realize that your mind has wandered away from me, don't be alarmed or surprised. You live in a world that has been rigged to distract you. And each time you plow your way through the massive distractions to communicate with me, you achieve a victory. Did you know that? You're achieving victories when you can make your way through all the distractions to communicate with me. You made it. You made it through the gauntlet of distractions. That's a victory, isn't it? Huh. That's another little picture on this collage that I'm going to make of your life. So when you realize that your mind has wandered away from me, don't be alarmed or surprised. It's because there's this distraction world. But if you can plow your way through the massive distractions to communicate with me, you've achieved a victory. And rejoice in these tiny triumphs, okay? These tiny little victories aren't tiny. They might seem tiny to you, but they are huge. So rejoice in these tiny triumphs, and they will increasingly light up your days. They'll help you grow strong. They'll help you grow strong in the light of my presence. Your weakness does not repel me. On the contrary, it attracts my power, which is always available to flow into you, into a yielded heart. Okay, that's a heart that's, surrendered. A yielded heart that's always available to flow into a yielded heart. Okay, so don't condemn yourself for constant need of help. Instead, come to me with your gaping neediness and let the light of my love fill you. Where's this other one here? We're going to go back to this other image here. Okay, we've got the whole story laid out here for you. I've documented everything so you can do the dots to dots, see the invisible picture, and then all of a sudden you realize the spiritual realm is real. Okay, these images are real. They're not computer generated. They're not like manipulated or any way. This is real clouds. This is my face showing up in the clouds here with a crown above it, and it's being projected by Jesus's heart right there. Hopefully you can see that image right there. Okay, and remember, your weakness doesn't repel me. It attracts my power. So grow strong in the light of my presence. Don't condemn yourself for needing help. Come to me with your neediness and let the light of my love, see the light of my love right there? Let that light fill you. Let the light of my love fill you. The yielded heart does not whine or rebel when the going gets rough. It musters the courage to thank me even during hard times. Okay? So your yielded heart, you're not supposed to complain and rebel when things get hard. It's supposed to muster courage, and it musters the courage to thank me during those hard times. That's what's hard. It sounds easy, but when you're having a bad day, it's hard to say thank you for a bad day, right? So that's where another victory comes into play here. Your yielded heart doesn't complain, whine, or rebel. It musters the courage to thank me during the hard times. So yielding yourself to my will is ultimately an act of trust, isn't it? And who can you trust in these times? So yielding yourself to my will is the ultimate act of trust. In quietness and trust is your strength, right? So when you're trusting in me, that gives you strength, doesn't it? You see my face up there, you know you're chosen. You're here. You're meeting me. You're building a relationship with me. That's what gives you courage. Okay, so with this election, a lot of people are happy, okay? And then we have the other side that's very upset, right? Okay? Every time something thwarts your plans or your desires, use that as a reminder to communicate with me. So when things aren't going your way, that's a reminder to communicate with me. This practice of communicating with me using that reminder has several benefits. Okay, the first is obvious. Talking with me blesses you and strengthens our relationship. Another benefit is that disappointments, instead of dragging you down, are now transformed into opportunities for good. Your disappointments are transformed into opportunities. See what I just did there? Do you understand that you do not have difficulties and disappointments? They are opportunities for good. I transform your disappointments into opportunities, and this transformation removes the sting from the difficult circumstances, making it possible to be joyful in the midst of adversity. Okay, so it is possible to be joyful in the midst of adversity if you let this transformation remove the difficult from the circumstances. Okay, begin by practicing this discipline in all the little disappointments of your daily life. Okay, so your daily life, you need to go through each day. What was it that disappointed me today? Begin to practice this discipline of all the little disappointments in your daily life, bringing them to me. It's often that these minor setbacks that draw you away from my presence And when you reframe these setbacks as opportunities now, you find that you gain much more than you've lost. You can actually gain much more than you have lost when you reframe your setbacks as opportunities. It's all in your mind. You need the better mindset. You need to be able to reframe, restructure your setbacks, and look at them now in a new perspective as opportunities. When you do that, you find that you will gain more than you have lost. And it's only after a lot of training that you can accept major losses in this positive way. So it is possible to attain the perspective of the Apostle Paul, who wrote, compared to the surpassing greatness of knowing Jesus Christ, I consider everything I once treasured to be insignificant as rubbish. When you can get to that mindset that everything else is insignificant, that the only thing is knowing the greatness of of Jesus Christ, well, compared to the surpassing greatness of knowing Jesus Christ, everything else is insignificant. When you understand that I'm here, that I'm real, that I'm here, then the significance of your problems really diminishes, doesn't it? It really diminishes. It really just wipes it all away, and enabling you to continue your walk peacefully. Okay, even though there's all kinds of chaos and stuff going on around, you see the bigger picture, and you can go along your path of your life peacefully. You can walk peacefully. You can walk peacefully with me through each day. And you're wondering how you will cope with all that is expected of you. You have to traverse each day like any other, one step at a time. So instead of mentally rehearsing how you will do this and how you'll do that, keep your mind on my presence and on taking just the next step. The more demanding your day, the more help you can expect from me. This is a training opportunity, and since I designed you for deep dependence on your shepherd king, challenging times wake you up and amplify your awareness of needing my help. Challenging times wake you up and amplify your awareness of needing my help. When you don't know what to do, wait while I open the way before you. Trust that I know what I'm doing and be ready to follow my lead. I will give strength to you and I will bless you with peace. Okay, I got one more or two. Okay, so I think, yeah, we're going to close with this one right here. What's this image? This image. Yeah, we'll do it to that one. Okay, this is what my face looks like right now with the light shining on it, and while I'm reading some of this stuff to you. Now, you can live as close to me as you choose. Okay, you choose how close you want to live to me. You can live as close to me as you choose, because I set up no barriers between us, neither do I tear down barriers that you erect. Because you think that I'm erecting the barriers, some of the barriers you erect, and I do not tear down the barriers that you erect. I give you your free will. So you can live as close to me as you choose, because I set up no barriers between us, neither do I tear down the ones that you erect. Now, people tend to think that their circumstances determine the quality of their lives. don't you? People tend to think that their circumstances determine the quality of their lives. So they pour their energy into trying to control those situations. They feel happy when things are going well and sad or frustrated when things aren't going well, and sad and frustrated when things don't turn out as they had hoped. They rarely question the correlation between their circumstances and feelings. How many of you question the correlation between your circumstances and your feelings? Not many do. Most rarely question this correlation between their circumstances and their feelings. Yet it is possible to be content in any and every situation. The more energy into trusting me you put, the more energy you will get out. So put more energy into trusting me and enjoying my presence. You should be enjoying my presence. Don't let your well-being depend on your circumstances, okay? Put more energy into trusting me. Don't let your well-being depend on your circumstances. Instead, connect your joy to my precious promises. I am with you, and I will watch over you wherever you go. I will meet all your needs according to my glorious riches. And nothing, I repeat, nothing in all creation will be able to separate you from my love. Nothing in all creation will be able to separate you from my love. I am with you, and I will watch over you wherever you go, and I will meet all your needs according to my glorious riches. So you can live as close to me as you choose. And that's this foundation. The more you lean in, the more you get in return. It's how this works. When you're getting frustrated, when you're having issues, stop. Take a moment, a few deep breaths. If you can't pull this image up on your phone, close your eyes and picture it in your mind. Take a few deep breaths. Jesus, help me, please. I'm having this issue. All right? Talk it over. Take a moment, wait, and then the way will open before you. When you see that happen, you're going to understand how this works, and you're going to see success. Most of you have. Most of you here have now, because you've taken this seriously, you've implemented these disciplines, and you've found the peace that transcends your circumstances. Now your difficulties are gone. They're opportunities. There is no such thing as difficulties. They are opportunities. You are overcoming adversity, and each time you do, you gain a glory, okay? And a little crown, a little image of your overcoming, and then another one, and then another one. Some days you have 3, 4, 5, 6 different overcomings in one day, and 5, 6 different glories per day, sometimes even more. Some of you are just going to town and are going to thousands per day. And you don't, sometimes you don't even see them. There's so many going on in your life that you don't even catch them all. But the ones you do catch, recognize them. Hey, thank you. I just overcame that. Oh, yeah. My day did start off bad, but after a prayer and a few moments and went along my way, I got caught up in something else that took my mind off of my situation. I came over here. I got caught up with my face in the clouds here, where I'm eating the air of cyberspace here at YouTube. I can't come over to your house and give you a hug right now. I'm almost immobile. But I can meet my family in the air of cyberspace by going live on YouTube, where They recognize me. They see my face in the clouds. They get caught up with me in the clouds where I provided a spot. I went ahead and made a place that where I am, you may be also live in the air of a live stream on YouTube. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool how this works. All coming true. All real stuff. All actually happening to me. I've given you my testimony. You guys have seen several times. Maybe some of you that are new here. Let's see. Do we got some new people that need some? I think a lot of you guys are figuring this out. The more you trust me and the more you believe me, the better results you get, right? These disciplines, they sound easy, but they're hard to do. And when you can reach through all the chaos of your life and whatever's frustrating you and say thank you for all that frustration, it made me take a moment to recognize the presence, and all of a sudden that is relieved, and then you can go on with your day. You've salvaged your day. Salvation. The root word is salvage. I salvage people's lives. I salvage broken relationships. I salvage broken hearts, broken bodies, broken spirits. I salvage everything. I am in the salvage business. I salvage my day. My day doesn't go perfectly every day either. I have to struggle sometimes to regain composure, to salvage my day, turn it around, and be able to bring the light into other people's lives. So even though I'm having a rough day, I can still go into the gas station and smile at the lady behind the register and bring this light into her life, even while I'm in the middle of a salvage. Say I'm halfway through or not feeling perfect yet, but I'm feeling better than I did earlier that day, and it's taken a slow salvage. Sometimes they take a minute. They take a little longer than you expected. It doesn't happen immediately all the time. Sometimes it does, thankfully, but sometimes it takes a little while. Okay. We're practicing forgiveness, all right? Forgiveness should come instantly, right? But sometimes it doesn't. It takes a minute, a little time and distance, a little work. You can forgive people, okay? But if you're not able to do it instantly at the drop of a dime, don't feel bad. Just keep working on it. The willingness to be forgiving. All right, that's what we're looking for. You might not get it perfect on the first time. Just keep working at it. It's progress, not perfection. It's only perfection when you include Jesus in it, okay? Then we start making real progress. I think that's it for now because I got more stuff I got to do, but really quick here. We can do this. Go back. Just gonna show you really quick some of these other things that are going on. Oh yeah, that's right. It's right there. Wanted me to show this one again. Okay, so October 4th, 2017, 11 days after the Revelation 12 star alignment, the Virgin was about to give birth. Okay, Virgo was lined with her moon at her feet and sun bathed in the sun, a crown of 12 stars. Your Revelation 12 star alignment happened on September 23rd of 2017. Actually took place. Well, 11 days after it, she gave birth. And in my garage. Until I was digging around through my, my old pictures and stuff and went even further back to see if I'd missed anything, and I captured this one. And we're going to zoom into this streak right up here, this one right here. Just bear with me for a second here. Now, hopefully, you can see that we have a lady's profile here. Here's her eye, here's her forehead, her snub little nose,
Here's the bottom jaw. She's smiling. She's looking down and she's holding a baby. And here's the baby's head right here. Here's the face, the back of the head. Here's her arm cupped around like this. And she's holding the baby. Now I'm going to run this through the filter real quick and it's going to enhance it, but a little bit too much. But see, now you can really make out her profile a lot better and see her face, and her headdress is coming over and going down back behind her. And you can still make out the baby's head right here. And maybe if I pull back a little bit, there we go. And this was captured on October 4th. So this was about 11 days after the Revelation 12 sign. All this stuff started happening to me just prior to the Revelation 12 sign and then right after it. So it said the woman was about to give birth. Well, it looks like maybe she gave birth, and here's the little baby being caught up to God.
All right. Real event. Important that you understand that. Okay. This happened in my garage because of who I am. All right. Then this also happened in my garage the next day because of who I am.
Running them through the filter, and this was one of the first ones that I had ever captured. And what's going on here is I'm here on my knees. I'm crying and screaming and praying, all three at once. I was in some extreme anguish. A paranormal traumatic event happened to me, something so unbelievable you guys wouldn't believe it. So if I told you, so I'm going to show you instead. So in this image here, I'm sitting here praying, and Mary's head appears right next to my head, and we're going to zoom in on this. You can't go in too tight on it, but she's looking down at my head this way. Let's see, there's pretty good. And you can make out her eye and her nose coming down, her shawl coming over, and it's in shadow right here. This is a shadow of the inside of her shawl going over her head like this. Here's her eye, her nose, her other eye would be on the other side there. Okay. You can't go in too tight on it. And then also is this white ball with an eye in it, this white orb with an eye in it. Okay, and that's not all, because over here in this corner up here is an angel, the silhouette of an angel with his wings spread, with his back to us, standing in a shaft of light. Here's his head, there's a glow over the head, the wings are extended, and there's a feather coming off. The last feather coming off is crossing over these brown roof tiles in the background here. And you can make out there's an angel right here, and you can even see his head right here. So there's the angel with his back to us and his wings spread. Yeah, you can see a lot better with the filter. Before it was really faint and it was hard to see. Same with this. This came out a little bit better here. Yeah, there's Mary looking down at my head because I was in anguish. I mean, what happened to me was just so...
Yeah, we all saw what happened. Okay, that little baby was born, and now part of me. So interestingly, how all this happened, I had no idea. Just normal guy going about my life. Couple of weird things happened, to my life, but just went about my life being who I was, and then all of a sudden this stuff starts happening to me, and nobody believes me. Well, they wouldn't take 5 minutes of their time to come over and look, and you guys gave me a whole 2 hours, and it's a blessing when you do give that time, because when you see this and you understand who I am, then you understand who you are. It gives you your identity as a child of the Most High. Okay, you are a child of God. When you believe me, when you trust me, when you see me coming in the clouds with power and great glory, you'll be caught up. You'll be caught up with me in the clouds. See how that's working? You're intrigued. You're going, no way. Is this really happening? Yeah, wait, this is really happening. This is me coming in the clouds with power and great glory on Easter. 2,000-year-old prophecy came true on Easter. If you are caught up with me in the clouds, we met in the air of cyberspace, live on YouTube, where I went and made a channel that where I am, you may be also. Okay? That's how this works. Been through a lot. It's been excruciatingly painful, embarrassing, sometimes very depressing, and it can be heartbreaking sometimes. So I've been through the whole gambit of emotions, and all those tools that I keep referring to you are for you guys. This is a gift for you, so you will have a toolbox to use when situations and difficulties arise in your life. You'll be able to look at them with a new perspective. This difficulty is an opportunity. The circumstances don't have to be depressing. You can still find joy. Know that you are up against the world and you are taking it on and you're fighting against the world. You're a true warrior. Everybody else is just a keyboard warrior. But you are a spiritual warrior who refuses to have your day ruined. You will salvage your day, and if it doesn't work, take a nap and try the next day. Sometimes sleeping on things is a good thing, and you feel better the next day. But continue to just fight and salvage your day. Bring that light into other people's eyes, or into other people's lives, and try to be the example, not talk the example, just live it. Walk your walk and just be who you are, knowing that you are a child of God. Okay? All this is really true. And for those that are finding the relief, I see your progress. And I'm just thankful that you guys trusted me and believed me, because it's key in all of this. That's it for tonight. I miss you guys. I love you guys. And until my next show, I will be back. I am already back. Can't you tell? All right. Love you all. Bye.